Hi children, welcome back. Students, in the previous class we have discussed about soil, its formation and the importance of soil. Not only that, and also we discussed about classification of soils. In this category, we have learnt about three different types of soils. Those are alluvial soil, black soil and red and yellow soils. Students, at the end of this class, you will be able to learn the classification of soils, that is laterite soils, arid soils and forest soils. Laterite soil. Laterite has been derived from the Latin word later, which means brick. Very often, we can also call these soils as brick soil. These kind of laterite soils develop under tropical and subtropical regions where they receive heavy rainfall and high temperature. These kind of soils are acidic in nature and whose pH value is less than 6.0. These soils are also rich in alkaline and silica. Alkaline, which means lime. So this lime and silica are more reactable to water and they just washed out from the rock, which leads to soil formation. So when we have heavy rainfall, the fine clayey particles which are above on the which are the top of the soil will be washed out or else will be seep inside the soil, which leads to the soil unfertile. The humus content is also low because microorganisms like bacteria gets destroyed due to high temperature. These kind of soils are suitable for cultivation only after proper treatment and adequate doses of manures and fertilizers. Let us see what kind of crops can we grow in these types of soils. Here we see these soils are mainly found in the states like Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. These soils are more prone to erosion. Only after adopting appropriate soil conservation techniques, particularly in the hilly areas of Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, these soils is very useful for growing tea and coffee. Red laterite soils in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, Kerala are more suitable for growing cashew nut crop. Arid soil. Arid soils range from red to brown in color. It appears red or brown in color in some areas. They are generally sandy in texture and saline in nature. Saline in the sense salty in nature. In some areas, the salt content is very high and the common salt is obtained by evaporating the water. For example, the Sambar lake in Rajasthan, where the salt content in the soil is very high, by evaporating the water from the Sambar lake, they will extract the salt. Due to the dry climate and high temperature, evaporation is faster and the soil lacks humus and moisture. The lower horizons of the soil are occupied by the conker because of the increase in calcium content downwards, which you can see in the picture. This calcium content will help us to infiltration of water. So water will not seep inside the soil and will retain for longer time, which leads to fertility of soil. After proper irrigation, these kind of soils also become cultivable. Actually, these arid soils are not fertile, but if you provide proper irrigation and proper doses of chemical fertilizers, you can make this soil cultivable. Forest soil. Forest soils are found in the hilly and mountainous areas where they receive sufficient amount of rainfall. The soil's texture varies according to the mountain environment. They are loamy and silty in valley sides and coarse in the upper slopes. When I say loamy and silty, they are the perfect soils. They contain equal proportion of silt, clay and fine soil. Coarse grains. In the upper slopes, you can find the soil in coarse. In the Himalayan regions, these soils experience denudation and are acidic in nature with low humus content. When I say denudation, it is nothing but it contains a process of erosion, transportation and deposition takes place. In the river valleys, you can find river traces and alluvial spans are fertile, which you can see in the next slide. The process of soil formation and erosion go on simultaneously, and generally there is a balance between the two. Sometimes this balance is between disturbed due to human activities like deforestation, overgrazing, construction and mining, etc. While natural forces like wind, glacier and water lead to soil erosion. Types of soil erosion. Sheet erosion. Sometimes water flows as a sheet over large areas down a slope. In such cases, the topsoil is washed away and this is known as sheet erosion. Here you can see the sheet erosion. Next, gullies or gully erosion. The running water cuts through the clayey soils and make deep channels. These are known as gullies. The land becomes unfit for cultivation and hence this land is also known as bad land. Now let's see soil conservation. There are some methods to conserve the soil. In that first, contour farming. Contour farming is nothing but plowing along the contour lines can decelerate the flow of water down the slopes. This is called contour plowing. Next method is terrace farming. Terrace farming is nothing but steps can be cut out on the slopes making terraces. Terrace cultivation restricts erosion. Western and central Himalayas have well developed terrace farming. Third method is strip farming. Large fields can be divided into strips. Strips of grass are left to grow between the crops. This breaks up the force of wind and this method is known as strip cropping or strip farming. The last method, that is shelter belts. This is the finest method to conserve the soil. Shelter belts. Planting lines of trees to create shelter also works in a similar way. Here you can see a belt of trees which grows on contour lines or contour bunds around the field. These shelter belts have contributed significantly to the stabilization of sand dunes and in stabilizing the desert in western India. That's the end of this topic, children. Thank you. Thank you. Stay tuned.